Alright, hi everyone, SoulSilver17 here, let me show like usual. I don't own this picture. This is not paid video. So, you guys are probably wondering, why am I making another video of Ruby? Easy guide. 2, I don't do enough Ruby's videos, so why not? But I am going to change some things about the world. 1, the Grimm are going to basically drop said items, basically like pieces of their mask, a mask of them, maybe even like a head, depending on the Grimm. If it's like ancient, or whatever, basically level it is, they can drop basically, bones, shards of them, basically. So yeah. It's just, I kind of basically wanted to change some things about Ruby a bit. I'm still going to be following basically Ruby, in a sense. But I'm just going to change the story up a bit. Kind of keep the same process going, but adding some things and making it different along the way. And this is kind of my first attempt, because I'm thinking about, basically adding some stuff then into my, basically, Deku what ifs, change some, basically, things, and, so, and I just wanted to basically see I can, add to, basically, an easy guide, instead of, Naruto, or Deku, or Issei, or whatever. An Issei one does sound pretty cool, though. I gotta admit that. But anyways, I wanted to make this one because I kind of got this idea, and honestly, I wanted to see what I can do, how much can I break, basically, Ruby, and how much fun can I have. So, this is What If I Was Easy Cut into Ruby, Part 1. So, where we're starting off is very simple. I am currently basically on the couch watching TV, basically, and a movie's on, and I'm 55 years old. Basically, I'm like, it's a Friday night, and I'm here, basically watching TV, and I'm sick. Great. It's not like I basically go out anyways on Friday nights. Usually I'm working. No one's around here anyways. Doesn't even matter. Basically, throughout this story, my life, after basically my father passes away, I basically live in the same house for a while, and then I basically realized I couldn't afford all the upkeep, so I basically then get an apartment closer to my job, and I walk and such, and basically, I've basically been, I lived there until I was 55 years old, currently, in the story. So, I'm just watching some movie that's basically from the past, one of the good movies I watched back in the past, basically. As while I'm watching a movie, I'm about to get up and go get myself a drink, and then I hear someone says, "I wouldn't do that if I were you. It's gonna get to the good part pretty soon." In which I look over to my left side, and I'm, seeing this person with antlers and golden, and, I'll tell you, he's like all golden, even his hair. I'm like, how did you get into my home? Well, my apartment? Basically, room? In which, basically, the golden being looks at me and goes like, "Well, that is a great question to ask, but I think you should also ask, who am I? Besides, I think basically we should switch scenes, don't you think?" And then he snaps his fingers and everything changes. We're technically in a spacious void, basically, but there's stars out all around us, and well, platform. While he's sitting in a chair and I'm just standing there. As I'm looking around real quick, I'm like, wait a minute. You're, you're a god, aren't you? And he says, clever. Of course you would think that since, well, of what I did, and you are absolutely right. I am a god. But which god am I? That is the question you must ask yourself, young one. Yeah, young one. And I'm basically thinking to myself, yeah, there's not many gods I know like you. So, he basically will wait and he goes, meh, let's just continue on with the conversation I want to have. So, while basically I'm thinking, he would then say this. Look, this may sound impossible, unusual, well, actually, basically inconceivable, most likely for you, but I need your help. You see, I just hold up my hand and I'm like, hold up, let me guess. You basically done something with some other godly being that basically resulted in something worse to happen in said world, and now basically the world is basically effed, like legitimately, because of some events that you have foreseen or basically have known that's going to happen. And such, now you basically need someone to basically fix your mistake because you cannot interfere with the world, and none of the basic inhabitants of that world basically can actually handle said problem. So you basically have gone through to any lengths just to find someone to fix your mistake. And that led to some random person, 1 in a million chance to be me. Am I correct? Which basically the god of, well, basically the god basically says, actually, pretty much. You got it right on the money, so to speak. It's quite weird talking so familiar, talking like I'm basically so familiar with you. But I guess by living in your world for such a period of time would happen. Which I'm basically looking at the god and I'm like, okay, so you can tell me the reasons why now, though. Like, what's the thing that made you messed up? He goes, oh, quite simple. Me and my younger brother cursed someone with immortality, and then basically before he even says anything more, I'm basically like, wait a minute. I know who you are now. Which he raises that eyebrow. He goes, oh, really? Who am I? Which I was to say, you are the god of light from Ruby. Which basically then starts slow clapping and just nods. He goes, took you long enough, but you have not seen that series in a very long time since you've been busy with your work and, well, living a life where you could just enjoy every single moment. Even though you live alone and you have little friends or interaction with people nowadays. Which I'm like, enjoyed it. Preferred the peace and quiet instead of having people over and such. But that's besides the point. So you want me to deal with Salem? Basically? Which the god of light will like, sort of. You see, this world, well, the world of Ruby, the one that you know of, is slightly different. You see, since it was basically an online series that was created by said people, you basically realize from one of your what ifs that you have made from your past, hobby basically. Excuse me, by the way. That some things may not be the same with slight alterations. Which I'm basically just not. I'm like, okay, what's the difference? Well, the one thing is, Grimm drop items. Which I'm like, okay, that's really quite interesting. Because, yes, it's basically to say the signs of, well, they completed the job and such, and that's all you need to know for right now. I'm like, I'll find out later, won't I? Which basically he will nod. goes, now, I basically would like to hear your answer. Would you basically help out my brother's problem, because I cannot go to basically back to Remnants and fix it. And I basically would think about it, and, well, after basically 10 minutes of thinking about it, I'm like, okay, I'll go to Remnant and fix your and your brother's mistake, basically, and, well, in return, I get some things. 2 things. He goes, oh, if you're going to ask for a semblance, then you're already getting that. Which I'm like, huh? What? And then basically then split it up. Well, then one thing then. Which basically the guy would say, reasonable enough. Now, please, tell me, what is that you want as your semblance? He goes, wait, you're not, he goes, oh no. I basically cannot choose. Well, it would be basically how everyone will have it. When they're born, it's basically a part of their soul, so it will be a representation of them in a way. Or basically how you will perceive it. Like it's... Which I would not use. So in this case, though, I would choose my own semblance. He goes, yes, but you have to choose wisely now. You see, any semblance can be dangerous in someone's hands. But with you have a fortunate circumstance to make your own semblance a reality. Anything that you imagine, from a video game to an anime. So, please, choose. What is it that you will want as a semblance? As I basically ponder it, as I'm thinking something that could allow me to basically progress in the world of RWBY. Something that would make sense to have, but I don't want to basically be just some generic side character, and I don't want to become the main character. I want to become my own type of person in this world, where I can choose to basically go with, basically the group, in RWBY's group and such. And I could deny if I don't want to. But something about basically him saying, I'm not there to defeat Salem, basically. So I look at him and goes, okay, before I answer, why did you say I'm not there to defeat her? Salem, basically. Which, he was sighing and goes, well, when me and my younger brother cursed her for mortality, it took both of our powers. And I cannot reverse the curse. So, in a sense, she is immortal, and there is Ozpin, but his way of basically doing things is not really working, just prolonging the effects of what basically is happening. I believe with you, as I believed in countless others that I sent to this world for 20 years, which I basically paused when my thought process when I heard that, and he can tell I'm basically looking at him with a blank face. He was like, I had 20 years to basically find individuals to basically send to the world of RWBY, to Remnant, and in that past 20 years, I've sent a lot of basically people from the dead. But they have all failed, died, or joined the side of Salem. In the past and in the present. So, you are my last chance because I will have to wait another basically so many years for this chance to even happen. And this is to any world. The rift between worlds had basically a year it should have been only to be open, but it expanded for 20 years. And I only had this chance to look into it. And I've basically found people that could handle it, but the fact is they rushed into the world too fast and died, or they basically took their time and progressed, and yet their basically semblance was not what they needed. They basically were not prepared as they thought. And they did not train their semblance properly. So, I implore you to think carefully of this. In which basically I would nod. But then he was, but I am curious. What else would you require of me? Which he would say basically with a curious tone. And like, oh, magic. I mean, you're basically life, and magic is, in a sense, life energy, right? Which, basically, he would think about it, and he would nod. He was reasonable, basically, and anyone who dies, they loses their magic. So, yes. I'm like, cool. Alright. So, let me just think about my semblance. As I'm thinking of it, I want it versatile, but I want my semblance to basically be based off of I can create a weapon, and it basically can change forms. Basically, I thought of, when I thought of weapon creation, I thought of basically projection from basically the Fate series with Shinro Emiya. But I scratched that idea. I kept on thinking, and thinking, and the only basically thing that matches up with what I want is from a post-apocalyptic world that basically, had an anime and basically 3 video game spans of it. As I look up at basically the God of Light, I take a deep breath in and then a deep breath out and just chuckle a bit and goes, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I want my semblance to basically be a exact replica of God Eater, which he basically just, looks at me, silence, and then he, 10 minutes, 10 basically seconds pass, but it felt like basically hours. And then he would say in a basically calm tone, but I can tell there's an edge to it. He goes, "Are you sure about this?" Alright, I just realized something. Give me a minute, guys. Alright, so, as I said, he would say, "Are you sure about this?" In a, caution tone, with an edge to it. As I would look at him dead serious in the eyes, so to speak, because I can't really tell, and I would just nod. He basically would sigh and basically lean forward, basically, and would say, "I do not have any means to make the oracle cells, since there is no origami in in the world of Remnant, and, Ruby. You do realize what you'll become. You will turn yourself into." Which I would just, basically just nodding like, "Yep. I will become basically a half Grimm, am I right?" Which he was saying goes, "Yes, you will." Quite frankly, I'm basically surprised anyone has thought of this. You did not think this through, though, so allow me to explain basically at least some things. You may know basically about basically the whole entire making weapons from body parts of said origami, or in this case, Grimm. But this is going to be a detailed, basically, aspect of your mind. You see, you have the blueprints in your head, but you'll just need the materials. And then when you create it, this is when basically your semblance will activate. It basically will, produce particles of light in a sense. And, each part will start glowing until they combine. So, I must basically ask you, would you like for them to be the normal size of God Arcs, or smaller, human size? Which, basically, I'm like, depending, since the God Arcs can change from melee mode to to range mode. It was, that'd be quite simple. They're basically something like a pistol style fire. Then it'll turn to a pistol if it's basically human size. But if it's basically a long range type, then it'll turn into basically a sniper rifle, and basically the different ammo types and such. He goes, "Yes, and you also have the different properties of bullets. But you have to figure that out on your own, since, well, it'd be very difficult. I should just sigh, and I'm like, okay. What about basically the devouring, basically, and I get extra bullets or such? Or basically get stronger when basically my god arc eats something. It was, oh, well, actually, your god arc, or in this case, basically your weapons, won't be able to do that. You'll have to eat them. Which I'm like, huh? But that's the point of the god arc. Because that's the thing, it's not an origami. It had no soul, no life in it. And something with that could not basically produce basically a sentient entity basically at such low level creatures. Maybe the higher tier ones, but you'll be too weak if you do not do this. You'll get stronger by eating. That's the only difference I can see about this that could work. But there are slight problems though. I don't know how you'll be able to fix those set problems, but with basically this magic, you may be able to actually do that. So choose this one carefully. Think even more harder than you basically did with the Semblance. Understand? As I would not solely. So, in a sense, basically, I would basically ponder and think of what I could basically combine this with. One thing that can help me. The one basically advantage I could have that most people won't, that could basically even help me basically with basically what I have to eat, basically the Grimms, basically. And the only two things I could think of is Predator from Rimuru, or one of the games that basically had a lot of potential but limited on what they can do with it. And I would just sigh, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm actually going to say this. He really did become some type of monster. As I look up, and basically the God of Light will look at me with a curious look. It was Prototype, the video game. Which basically, I can actually hear basically a slight chuckle. And then a full-on laughter. And that goes on for the span of 5 minutes. As he basically, the God of Light then stops all of a sudden and looks at me, and I could tell he's serious. And he was like, "Are you sure you want that? You won't just be human anymore. You're not even a virus. You will get all the properties of said, basically, game. But I cannot allow basically your mindset to be destroyed, and so, well, actually, now that I think about it, you won't even have that problem." Which I'm just looking at the God of Light with a curious look. He goes, "Oh, quite simple, since if you choose Prototype, you will literally become a virus. But in this case, your whole entire being becomes magic. So you would not gain any memories from people." In which my eyes will widen, and I'm like, so that means I won't go mad or crazy with it. It was, yes. But in truth, this would mix with your Grimm ability, your Grimm DNA, and so enhance basically your ability to consume Grimms. You don't have to now eat them. Basically, you just can consume them. Which I would just nod slowly to that. And so, he would then say, "Are you sure you will like this combination?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not? I'm actually quite surprised I ain't telling you to send me back home." As then he will basically, the God of Light, will just scoff and just says, "Home? That place was just a borderline prison like for you. You put yourself in solitary confinement willingly. All you do is work, basically, sleep and eat, and that's it. Play video games, too. Or watch TV, basically. You don't really do much else. You basically put yourself in this situation where you are, well, alone. So, did you really even have a choice to basically choose to go on an adventure or to basically stay in a sad home. In which basically I have my eye twitching at him, and then he just looks at me with a smirk, and I'm just sighing. I'm like, okay, fine, you got me there. Now, what do I have to basically do to get there? Walk through a portal or something? Wait, I actually do have some questions before I go. He goes, oh, what is that? He goes, am I going to, gain any basically knowledge of the world? He goes, no, you have to learn all that on your own. Oh, and I can reverse your age. I'm sending you back to when you're 16 years old and a different body. Your look is relatively the same as your previous, well, not previous, when you were younger, but I must ask, would you like your semblance to have a little bit of twist to your physical appearance? With your body becoming full-on magic, I do have to basically, well, that'll alter your body on its own to be the peak physical condition you could have been. I'm like, actually, yeah. I'm gonna be 16 with a 55-year-old mind, right? He goes, yes. Does that mean I basically, he goes, yes, you have to go through basically everything else like you would have done in normal life, go back to school and such, and, well, as I'm like, no. Wait, is there going to be any information on me? He goes, oh, no. You're basically just a blank slate to the world, just appearing out of nowhere. Isn't that fun? As I can see him smiling as there's a light coming where basically he's smiling. I'm like, no. You do realize that's going to make him very suspicious that I came out of nowhere. He goes, yes. Oh. And basically, I'm also going to, well, have fun messing with your love life. Which I'm like, wait, what? Why? He goes, my entertainment. I mean, with your luck, you probably won't have no one basically after you. You would choose that life. Which in this case, I'm not giving you a choice in that. I'm like, you a-hole. How can you do that to me? I have a right to choose who I want to be with. Which he goes, and you choose no one, so have fun in the world of remnants. As before he goes, he goes, before I go, I basically would say to him, wait, do you have a cousin? Is it, as I was about to say the name, and I just basically get sent away. He goes, hopefully my younger brother does not basically mess with this situation as he's done other times. He's basically, the world needs someone like him, and he's our last chance to at least get this world to be saved. I cannot rely on Ozpin to defeat Salem. He cares for her deep down inside, and yet he's willing to do all this just to defeat her. I did not tell him, though I do feel some regret. Basically, he would basically look back in the past, basically, and the decision for his, cursing of Salem, as he would just sigh again. He goes, and now we created a monster that we did not know could ever appear. My life as a human has taught me many things, and one thing is, immortality is way more of a curse than basically a joy. And it seems basically him and her have some things in common. Hopefully basically he will be by her side. As then, basically we cut to basically where I would arrive. But I would say along the way I felt immense pain. My little physical body was changing back to from 55 to basically 16. But while my body was changing to become literal magic. Sure, I have the physical form basically, all real and everything, but I am just energy, magic in a sense. In which it's kind of, weird, basically to feel this way. And I know everything will work the same somehow. Just let me do something real quick, guys. Okay, sorry, just had to do something. So, in a sense, though, when I arrive, I'm like, okay, that hurt, and, obviously I'm, on the ground, basically, on my hands and knees, basically panting, and as I'm getting up slowly, I feel, like, some of my muscles basically aching, and I'm just like, okay, ow, oh, okay, there we go, up and at 'em. As I basically got up, and I immediately look around, I'm saying to myself, am I on top of a building? And then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, basically, a person runs up. Someone wearing a black and with a black hat with a stripe going around it, red hair, and wearing a white suit, black gloves, black pants, a black tie, and black, basically, shoes on, with a cane. As I'm thinking to myself, wait, is that Tortrick? Yeah, that is him. Wait, and then I remember, from the RWBY series, all of a sudden I have a flashback. I'm on top of the roof where basically, hello crap, well, not hello crap, but their crap is gonna be here. Ah, crap. So, in a sense, right on cue when I said that, Ruby's there. And I'm thinking to myself, double crap. So, as I will literally try to basically, get out of there, I basically, would have heard Tortrick saying, like, so persistent. As basically Ruby was saying, he can't, basically go anywhere. He has nowhere to go now. As he goes, oh, I have nowhere to go. As that when basically the aircraft comes in and, we'll lay down some cover fire for Tortrick to then basically proceed to get into the aircraft. Hold up. Okay, so, as when he basically does, I'm like, okay, I need to get out of here. As I'm looking around, and I basically am like, oh, right, I'm on top of a building. Stop panicking and think. As I'm like, fire escape. As I'm about to run towards it, then Tortrick starts shooting with his cane. And Ruby would dodge until basically when she's about to get hit, all of a sudden Good Witch comes in. And some shots basically from the explosion, debris nearly hit me. As, from when Torture was firing. But when Good Witch stopped them, basically, stopped the attack from hitting Ruby, I'm thinking to myself, okay, gotta hurry. I literally gotta hurry. As there's some, basically would go to the edge where I think it is, I'm like, okay, there it is. I'm fine as, gonna do exactly what you do in the anime. Using the debris on the ground and fire at Tortrick. As basically Tortrick would basically have a different firearm that is enhanced by dust to shoot at basically debris and such. And this is kind of when Tortrick decides to, after a while doing this, because I'm not bringing in a certain character. If you know who she is, then yeah, I'm not going to bring her in, because that's one of the things I'm changing in this part. Because I don't think she needed to be in it. So, like in season 1, really. So, I'm going to try to build up the character, strengthen, showing off who they are, like, later. So, yeah. Anyways, so, what happens is basically this. He basically takes the red crystal and throws it at basically Ruby and Glinda And when Glinda basically was firing off one of her shots, she realized basically the red dust crystals there, and yeah, she hits it, causing basically an explosion with smoke and enough basically for it to get shot away as they would said leave. Tortrick and basically the pilot, not knowing who the pilot is, or basically who is, well, not piloting, but who is basically Tortrick, Torchwick, really. So, as basically, wait, hold up, I'm just making sure something. Yeah, no, I did not. I think I did not have his name copied onto the paper when I, Well, whatever. I know I basically had it somewhere, but I know I'm also saying his name right. So, yeah. Okay. So after that, I basically got to a fire escape and I would get down and such, as I'm thinking to myself, okay, I am finally out of that situation, and as I see all these cops around me, as I'm like, oh, you have to be kidding me. So, what happens is, they would ask me questions and such, and I'm like, okay, one, I basically am a civilian. I was not a part of this. So, technically, you can't really hold me just ask questions. Two, I was on the roof, taking a nap. Reasons why. Well, trying basically to get away from a situation that I don't want to be in. I'm trying to lie, basically. As the cops are looking at me, and Glinda's also next to them, basically she would sigh and saying, well, he basically was there and he didn't do nothing. As the cops will look at her and they would sigh and just tell me to go off, and I'm like, alright, thanks officers, and basically Huntress, and I will walk off. Basically, though, meanwhile with Ozpin and Salem, they basically felt something. Something happened in the world. Something that they did not, foreseen. Someone new is into this, game. And they have magic, and that's the shocking part. They cannot find out where they are. They only knew, basically, that they appear because of some, basically, light. Light of energy. In which, basically, I would basically think Ozpin would say to himself, this is odd. How does this even happen? And I would want the brothers send someone here. As in, Salem would think, a new player on the field. Is this Ozpin's doing? Asking for assistance from the gods? Probably not, but this will be quite a problem. So, as I basically am walking away, I would kind of basically think to myself, okay, so I have no weapons, I have no guns, I have no way to access aura. I should have asked that, basically. And I can't go to a huntress or huntsman and basically saying, hey, can you unlock my aura when I am technically a Grimm? Basically. And I'm wondering though, would basically my Grimm basically part of me give me like a transformation? I think maybe the God of Light may have said something, and I kind of just, blew over it. Most likely. So how do I even don't access it then? Can't do it can't do it here because of people watching. So maybe I can go find something. So I will walk around, and the best bet will be into a dark alley. But knowing basically how a dark alley is my only choice. So I would go into that dark alley and basically try to think of how to at least get some access to this power. Well, not the power of the god here, but the power basically that basically I would think I would get like some type of transformation. In a sense, though, is that when I'm thinking about it, all of a sudden I basically see what I would imagine of a progression system. Basically, how I did it from my first basically playthrough of God Eater 1, where I had my create character basically to progressively have the hair color change and such for more stressful situations. But I was saying I don't want that. I want that to be a representation of my half Grimm, half human side. Something similar to Salem. I just kind of realized I'm probably saying the name right. Salem, basically that's how I basically see it. And that's how my brain basically proceeds to say it. Or Salem. Wait, no, I'm just probably saying exactly the same thing there. Salem. Yeah, no. So, and then all of a sudden, basically, my body starts to glow. Because the last time I thought was it has to basically be on my emotion. As basically, after my body glows, I didn't notice. Basically, I would look into the mirror and basically I would think of what I would think, access it. Is basically all of a sudden I would think of rage, a negative emotion. And then all of a sudden, slowly but surely, basically my white part of my eye turns black, and basically my eye was brown turns into red. As then basically like crack marks start to basically appear around my eyes. As I'm thinking to myself, okay, so it's anger that accesses this. Interesting. And then I would stop doing it, and I would get out of the alleyway, and I would think to myself, now then, weapons. I'm not going to go to Beacon since Ozpin will try to kill me immediately. So, what's the best place to go to for weapons? Now give me a second. Okay, so as I was saying, so I can't go to Beacon because of Ozpin. Well, Beacon Academy since I'm a Grimm and such, and there's Ozpin. What was that other school's name that Ruby went to? Signal Academy. Yeah. And it shouldn't be that far. It's probably maybe an hour away from where I am. Never really said where. Great. Just great. Hopefully, if my enhancements of basically what I got, I can at least handle it. So, but then all of a sudden, I start getting basically a ringing sound. I'm like, huh? What the? As I basically would check my left basically pants pocket, and basically I pull out whatever basically this white basically thing that basically is in a shape of an oval. Yeah, something like that. Then all of a sudden, I open it up, and basically there's just like a white screen there, and then all of a sudden, basically, a video of the God of Light appears. He was like, "Ah, there you are." Took me a while to basically activate the scroll. I'm like, God of Light? He was Yes, I forgot to mention I would have given you one of this with basically many functions. The only basically thing I did not give it is basically for me to give you money. So you have to get that on your own. I'm like, But this does have a GPS, basically to help you go where you need to go somewhere, to get contact information, something like stuff like that. And basically to help you keep track of basically parts that you get from Grimm's. Especially if you need to inventory. I have a feeling you're going to basically go after a lot of Grimm's for strength and materials. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, since basically you are magic itself and you are Grimm, you are in very much danger. Which I'm, looking at him blinking, I'm like, how so? I got rid of basically the weakness of, well, the prototype, with basically becoming a god eater and such. He goes, you forgot, you become literal magic and a Grimm. What's basically can harm, basically, a Grimm, besides weapons? He goes, dust. What else? Oh. She's like, yes. But now since you have magic, and magic helps, basically, with that, since it's energy, and then I'm thinking of saying it loud, so I'm very much in danger if I get hit, because it'll hurt like... Oh, it won't not hurt basically like that. It'll hurt way worse. Or a lot more. Which I'm just sighing, I'm like... Welp. At least I have a weakness. It goes, yes, yes. Now, I just wanted to let you know, basically, the map function will work properly for you if you need to find it. Well, find it or find something. Whatever you need. As then basically it would just hang up. I would just sigh, I'm like, alright, well, let's find Signal Academy. And when I look it up, I would just nod and, well, I would kind of just start walking to the outskirts of the city in the direction of it, and when I get there, I would just look forward and just smirk and just start running. And, well, because of my Grimm DNA plus prototype, I move a lot faster than I should. So, yeah. So, anyways, after that, basically, hour run, somewhat, I would basically get near Signal Academy, and I would be like this to myself, okay, so, I can absorb someone and then go in and proceed to pretend to be them, or I can just steal some random kid's stuff and then go forward with a different, basically, way. Because I need to go to the armory and get materials from there. Hopefully they have a lot of scrap metal. So, I will basically be walking over to the signal and, well, my luck, it should have not have worked, but I find basically someone on the ground, basically unconscious, as I'm thinking to myself, did he just pass out on the middle of the... Well, after I look around, I'm like, no, side of the road, the signal. Well, I'm lucky then. At least I proceed to take the guy's jacket. And, since I can't really take the ID, since I'm not changing it into him, because I need to consume him first, yeah, that won't work out, so I can't just take the jacket and hope for the best. Give me a minute. Alright, so, as I'm walking to, basically, to Signal Academy, I would think to myself, okay, plan. What do I say? I guess I could say I lost my weapon or broken and I need to go get a new one. Yeah, that could work. Hopefully. So, after I say that, and with that's my only plan I have at the moment, when I get to basically Signal Academy, I would, see basically some guards at the door. And I would be, saying to myself, only 2 guards? Okay. So, I would basically walk up to them and I'm like, hi! As they would just look at me and I can see a little bit of annoyance on their faces. As I'm thinking to myself, what the? As one of them asks, why are you here? Which I'm, just say to him, oh, well, I'm here because I lost my weapon. Wait, one of them basically will raise up an eyebrow and just basically says, you lost your weapon. He goes, yep, and I don't know where it is. Maybe it's broken? Instead of a shrug. As this one that talked to me the first time, well, no, not the first time, the second person will look at me, he goes like, oh, you are wearing the beacon outfit. Well, not beacon, the signal outfit, I guess. Just, he goes, oh, yeah. It's kind of annoying how I basically lost my weapon. In which basically, the one that just says, look, I don't really care how you lost it, it's just, this happens a lot. So just go on in. If you're basically wondering where it is, if you've never been there before, since basically it seems like basically you may have made it already and now you just don't know where it is, he'll give me directions to basically the armory. He also, well, I would say, what about the storage? He goes, oh, it's right next to it. You see, we keep the armory and the storage closer together because basically the armory is basically also a building area where anyone here from Signal Academy can build their weapon. Well, I'm like, huh. Anything else I need to know? He goes like, oh yeah, this is where basically we also store any extras and even our scrap metal there, plus basically some prototype weapons from past students here. So I would think to myself, okay, jackpot. So, what happens is very simple. I would thank him and basically proceed to go on my way to basically the storage room. As I would look around and such, basically try to get a feel for it. I basically am not. I don't really have many interactions. There's a few students out, and that's it. As I went to basically the armory that's next to the storage area, I would basically, walk to the storage area, and when I arrive there, if I open up the door, I see just random stuff that I would not know of, but I do basically will see a clipboard next to me on my right, as when I look at it, it basically has a catalog of everything and where it is. So I'm like, okay, scrap metal, section 39 of basically weapons, armor, of basically of scrap. Noted, going to be removed and smelted down. In which I'll be like, sorry, just really tired one. Okay, as I was saying, and I'll be like this. Or, that basically can come in real handy for me. Let's just hope something. Because I don't even think I basically can even basically take metal. So, when I basically walk around and find the scrap metal, I'm like, nice. Now, if I could, as that's when basically I would, wait, hold up. I would say like section 39 as I'll walk over there. I'll find some scrap metal, and this is when I find out something. After a few minutes of looking at it, all of a sudden it starts to sink into my hand. As I'm basically kind of realizing, I don't basically absorb any basically, well, basically I can absorb anything really, because then I also realized I'm not a virus. I'm made of magic. My entire body is a physical form of magic, so that means I literally can absorb like almost anything. As I basically just have an evil grin, and I'm like, oh yes. So, what happens is very simple. I take all the scrap metal I can, and then basically I look for basically said things I'm looking for. A prototype weapons that basically could help me out. So, sorry, I'm just really tired, as I said. Okay, so basically what happens is, I would find basically a sickle and chain, basically a katana, and then basically I will then find, well, basically something, and well, that something is very quite simple. Just give me a minute. Okay, so as I was saying, I was looking for it until I find it. Well, not find it, but I just find something really peculiar. As I'm like, huh? What's this? As I would take a closer look at it, and basically, it was from. I'm trying to think. Basically, it was because of that reason. Yeah, basically, my brain, just had my brain fart. Okay, yeah, so as I was saying, for that reason, I started looking at the weapon. How I find out is, it reminds me of Yang's, basically, gauntlets that basically shoot shotgun shells. As I would find papers of it, basically the next design, because when I find this, the design is way more, not bulky, but it covers most of the arm, going to the elbow, basically, and there's like multiple areas where basically it can hold some things in it. And which I'm thinking to myself, wait. So if Yang had this actually be able to be usable, as I just kind of realized the danger, implications basically that it has. So what happens next, though? After I kept on searching, I find a weird weapon. Some parts are basically missing, or it looks like basically it has like one gear in it, and the sword is basically, imagine Crow's sword scythe weapon, but basically it's a little bit thinner. So yeah, so basically I kind of realized what this weapon is because it's black and they're silver. I'm like, and basically the gear should have been the most likely thing because it doesn't go into what. I'm trying to think of the person's name. Yeah, no. Color schemes matches and it doesn't really go, and the gears don't work well due to, there's only one and such. Yeah, hold up. Alright, sorry, just like for some reason I kept on losing my train of thought, and as I said already for a third time, I'm tired, so I think because of this, I'm gonna keep this video a little bit shorter than what I wanted to originally. So, yeah. Alright, so basically, as I was saying, it matches up with Crow, black and silver. But the gears aren't there, and it basically looks like it basically wasn't completed. And I'm thinking to myself, so these are the prototypes of Crow's weapon. Crow didn't even have his weapon fully finished, and yet he got his, this own prototype, type of phase, and he basically chose to go with the weapon that he has now. Yeah. And basically, it seems like basically Crow's original size of the blade was a little bit, thicker than this. This is a little bit thinner. As I would pick it up, basically, as I have Yang's basically gauntlet, fist basically on me, as then it just starts to get absorbed into basically get absorbed by me, and then along with Crow's weapon. And then I would absorb a few more materials and such, and then proceeds to leave. So, well, technically leave basically the storage room because I got enough of what I needed. And basically, I've also found a few books there in a bag, as I took that and left. Without anyone knowing of the wiser, so yeah. So after I left, I basically proceeded to go back to the city and try to look for a place. Somewhere it's quiet and I don't get disturbed by anybody. And I think that would take a while for me to do so. So let's just say it took me about like 3 hours to find a decent place. And I would just sigh in relief as I would thank that person and such and, well, take my leave basically. Wait, hold up. Okay, so, need to backtrack my mind. Find a place. Basically, took a couple hours. Go there. Wait till morning. Yeah, okay. So, basically, as I was saying before, I think I lost my trace of mind. Because I basically made this and based on dozing off. So, sorry. I basically would, go to said area and not have to worry about anything. Basically, and, well, I would basically decide to, as I'm not going to Beacon, I need to try to figure out most of the world as best as I can, so I would start reading a book a little bit, and then after a while, I would get tired and then fall asleep. But with the idea of finding more about the world and such, and continuing to move forward. So yeah. So anyways, I hope you guys have a nice day, night, wherever you are. Bye everyone. I wonder how you guys feel about this what if. So yeah. As I already said, have a nice day, night, wherever you are. Bye.